as I welcome you to this, the opening ceremony of our Police Officers Annual Conference. As is already known, our conference is held under the theme, Forging Ahead with Professionalism and Intelligence-Led Policing in collaboration with stakeholders. Over the next 2.5, quote-unquote, working days, some 175 officers across the country will be participating, deliberating, internalizing, and revising current and crafting new strategies to advance the role and functions of the Guyana Police Force, all with the aim of delivering improved quality of services to our citizens. 18 presentations will be made, 13 from senior officers who are heads of departments, and 5 from key stakeholders who we consider to be somewhat external. Amongst the 13 will be presentations on crime, traffic, the social crime prevention program, the fusion of crime and security intelligence, implementation of the team policing plan, and development of the public relations department. The 5 other presentations would include perspective on police investigations, alternative sentencing, Cops and Faith Community Network, its successes and challenges, gender-based violence, and perspective as seen from the eyes of the Private Sector Commission. You and I know very well that the Private Sector Commission has, in my own language, been quite concerned, if not vocal, in many of the affairs of the force and how it discharges its mandate to the citizens of this country. So we thought it best to have a perspective from the Private Sector Commission. As is traditional, the working session of conference will commence with an address to officers from our own subject minister, followed shortly after by a review of the key decisions we made last year and how well we have done in terms of implementation. Conference will conclude on the evening of Saturday with a sumptuous mess dinner, during which not only our best of culinary delights will be consumed amidst resplendent ambience, but during which 9 newly promoted officers will be dined in. Did I hear laughter somewhere? And 11 retired officers who have given a total of 300 plus years of service to the Guyana Police Force will be dined out. Honorable Prime Minister and Acting President, distinguished special invitees all. A few days ago, at the launch of the National Action Plan to combat trafficking in persons, the Honorable Minister of Public Security, during his remarks, alluded to the need for professionalism when he said, I quote, "We have to professionalize law enforcement in every respect," unquote. We all know that it is essential and indeed paramount to be professional if you desire success. But what does being professionally really mean? Or what does professionalism mean for an organization such as the Guyana Police Force? Professionalism encompasses a number of different attributes. These include specialized knowledge, competency, honesty and integrity, accountability, self-regulation, and image. At page 105 of the Guyana Police Force magazine of 2013, retired lecturer and former head of the Department, School of Professional Development, University of Guyana, wrote this, that's Mr. Derek Boston, wrote this about professional behavior. I quote, "Professional behavior is ethical behavior. The public is increasingly demanding that people in organizations act in accordance with high ethical and moral standards. And ethical behavior goes beyond simply obeying a set of rules and regulations. It is about committing yourself to do an act according to what is right, cognizant of your conscience. Therefore, professional behavior is specifically concerned with character, acceptable behavior, and conduct," unquote. As we forge ahead with professionalism, we all need to commit and rededicate ourselves, consciously making the special effort to be unfailing, polite, courteous, respectful, humble, approachable, fair, and transparent. I am sure all of us assembled here agree with these, as each is achievable.
I wish to join with Assistant Commissioner Administration in welcoming you all to this opening ceremony of our 2017 Annual Officers Conference, which is held under the theme Forging Ahead with Professionalism and Intelligence-Led Policing in collaboration with stakeholders. During 2016, as he indicated, we focused heavily on capacity building within the force with the objective of improving the quality of service we deliver to the Guyanese society. We have recruited, trained, and deployed 896 new recruits. We have created a number of new units within the criminal investigation departments, such as the gender-based violence investigation units in each division, anti-narcotics unit in each division, a serial crimes unit, and a forensic video analysis unit at the Criminal Investigation Department headquarters. We have targeted training in all aspects of our operations. This was supported by some of the finest police organizations in the world, as well as their respective governments, such as the United States of America, the United Kingdom, Canada, China, India, and Russia, to name a few, as well as Interpol. We now have an Interpol-certified cybercrime trainer in the Guyana Police Force. A total of 186 members of the force would have attended training overseas during the year, and another 405 benefited from international training conducted locally, while 273 ranks would have benefited from in-service training by the Guyana Police Force. At this point, I wish to highlight the work of the Justice Education Society of Canada. In this regard, that is relation to training, for the magnificent work they have done with the Major Crimes Investigation Unit at CID headquarters, with general investigators of the force, with crime scene technicians of the force, and the forensic video analyst. Through funding from initially the Canadian government and now from the US government, that training is continuing, and they have also acquired technology to facilitate the work of the ranks that they have trained. The CID now, the performance of the CID now is one that which all of us are very proud of. They also, in their work, would have received during the year lots of support from crime intelligence, as well as from the police crime lab in relation to fingerprint and ballistic analysis that were obtained as evidence. The Special Organized Crime Unit, with its limited amount of investigators, has completed some 30 investigations during the year. Most of those investigations were very complex. Some have resulted in criminal charges before the courts, while others are awaiting legal advice. We have, throughout the year, maintained and expanded our social crime prevention program. Many community projects were completed with the police working together with various community leaders, inclusive of religious leaders and private sector leaders. Those would include a fully furnished library at the Parafaith Harmony Primary School. We have developed partnership with the technical institutes of Lenora, Linden, Anna Regina, and New Amsterdam. And towards this end, many youths were shepherded from communities into these institutions. We currently have 60 youth groups, police youth groups, with a total of 66 youth groups rather, with a total of 3,165 youths. and they are involved in full-time activities. We also have 6 scout groups with a total of 321 scouts participating. The force has also maintained and expanded its other partnership programs, and highlights of those are partnership with the Cops and Faith Community Network, which continue to work with us on 6 major projects: the Fallen Heroes Foundation, the Suicide Helpline, the Family Liaison for Victims of Serious Crimes, the chaplaincy program within the Guyana Police Force, and the learner drivers examination. That is a big success story when we go into the details. We also continue our partnership with Zara being a group of overseas-based Guyanese, actually operating out of New York. And through the 3 Guyana Police Force Zara computer laboratories, we would have graduated 3,572 members of the public from one of the 3 courses that they offered. They offered a foundation course, an advanced course, and an engineering course focusing on computer repairs and computer networking. During the year, they have also replaced 30 computers at those 3 laboratories. They refurbished the Felix Austin Police College Computer Lab and installed 30 computers there. They have computerized the Criminal Investigation Department headquarters, the A Division Commander's Office and Registry, and the G Division Commander's headquarters.
This is the first occasion on which I would be addressing the annual Police Annual Officers Conference. And you would forgive me if I made a broad sweep in trying to go beyond the officers and to direct some remarks to the wider security force and also to the broader justice administration in Guyana. Officers, your conference is taking place at a time of great changes in the world. A new president took office in the United States of America, and he immediately started to implement his campaign promises. One of those is the erection of a wall along the Mexican border. President Donald Trump has identified a law enforcement function of the wall, that is to lock out criminals from the United States of America. It is not for us to say whether we agree or disagree with this decision, but unlike the USA, Guyana has extensive borders with 3 countries, and the mere length of our borders would not allow us to build any walls. Rather, I'd like to endorse what His Excellency President David Granger is quoted as having said at the CELAC conference: we should build bridges, not walls. And for us, the better option would be to one, promote interagency cooperation among our intelligence, defense, security, and law enforcement agencies. 2, encourage participation of civil society in crime detection, community protection, and intelligence gathering. 3, build functional cooperation with neighboring states, friendly countries and international agencies in the fight against transborder and transnational crimes. And 4, ensure that the 3 branches of government in Guyana, the executive, legislature, and the judiciary, work in comity and share in the governance process in such a way as not only to prevent abuse of powers, but to strengthen our democratic system and to effectively enforce public policy. As a law enforcement arm of the executive, you need to know and respect tenets of democracy, such as the separation of powers that guide the executive in the relations with the legislature and the judiciary. We are all better together, stronger too. So I ask you, as law enforcement officers and also the wider ranks, to respect our laws, our institutions, and our democratic traditions. Our government has been leading the way in ensuring the independence of both the legislature and the judiciary, and making them financially and administratively autonomous. Inasmuch as any citizen, or any government for that matter, may criticize decisions emanating from our courts, which after all are not what was described as cloistered halls immune from public scrutiny, our government does not encourage attacks on the legislature and the judiciary. It is not government's policy or decision to besmirch the character of any judicial officer. Our government would not condone attempts, however well-meaning or veiled, to impugn the integrity of judicial officers. Since our APNU plus AFC coalition government assumed office some 20 months ago, Guyana has enjoyed an unenviable image of a peaceful country determined to uphold the rule of law, restore clean and accountable governance, and as you may note in today's paper, with the Perception on Corruption Index being published, we have become stronger. We climbed up the ladder by some points where we were never before in the fight against corruption in Guyana, and that should make us feel good that something positive is happening in regards to restoring clean and accountable governance, and to distance our administration from both the pervasive corruption and executive interference that had characterized the not-so-distant past. We must all bask in reflected pride and glory that in our democratic Guyana, we enjoy an open, multi-party parliamentary system. We have a free and plural press, where journalists are not persecuted and media are not suppressed. But we demand the right to fair comments, the right of reply, and constructive and contemporaneous criticisms, however robust. It is good to know also that Guyana has no political prisoners in our jails. Though we have the death penalty in our statutes, there have been no judicial executions over many years. We have achieved all these positive attributes due to the fact that there is open and free political space in which the separation of power is very much evident. That is why, as Prime Minister with responsibility for the state media, I want to say this. While I would not interfere with editorial discretion, I disassociate myself from perceived scurrilous attacks in the Chronicle newspapers against the acting Chancellor of the Judiciary, who will, less than a month from now, demit his substantive post as Chief Justice at the end of a distinguished career. I say this because I feel that the national security architecture is better protected with an independent and strong judiciary, and when the branches function independently, but in a way that cumulatively, A, enunciate policies and administer them, make laws and approve public spending, and C, protect constitutional rights and dispense justice that would enable them to ensure law and order, public safety, good governance, and the rule of law. The benefits of working together are manifestly reflected in the satisfactory performance of the Guyana Police Force over these past 20 months, for which I congratulate officers as well as ranks for responding to the challenges that we face in the security sector with courage, resolve, and purpose. Effective law enforcement is intertwined with the policies adumbrated by the executive. The laws that are made, unmade, or reformed in the legislature and the administration of justice by the judiciary. It is within this wider context of our lawful and impregnable system of interaction and cooperation that you have shattered the predictions of the messiahs of gloom and doom who often boast of a crime spree and crime spiraling out of control in Guyana. Not so, says the Commissioner, and I agree, and I suppose you all are in agreement that crime is not out of control in Guyana. Since the assumption to office of our government, we can proudly proclaim that Guyana has no death squads, no extrajudicial killings, no electronic support architecture for the criminal enterprise, and no agreement with the narco syndicate to be an auxiliary of the national security apparatus. It seems not so long ago that we experienced the gruesome episodes of torture, executions, and use of excessive force, which had impugned the professionalism of the Guyana Police Force. Yes, we had fatal shooting by the police, but these fell from 17 cases in 2008 and 13 in 2013 to only 3 such cases last year. That you have distanced yourself from the contamination of past lawlessness and excesses in less than 2 years must be justification to say, well done. You could do better, and better you did. It was once noted that there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. So I should be careful to use statistics that were provided to me by the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Silal, that show that in the last 20 months, when compared with the corresponding period, percentage-wise, the incidence of crime has fallen. But no amount of statistics would compensate for the tragic consequences that follow criminal activities, the loss of loved ones, the agonies of survivors, damage, deprivation of property, and mental depression. But we are comforted by the facts, as illustrated by compelling statistics, that the Guyana Police Force lessened the incidence of crime, and that our police ranks responded positively by apprehending suspects, putting them on trial, and playing useful prosecutorial role in seeing that justice is done. You have sent a strong message that you would deal condignly with lawbreakers, and that our system of justice ensures that those who do the crime, that they would do the time. No statistics are more compelling than those for 2016, when there was 63% detection rate for murder. Of the 142 reports, 89 cases were made out. I understand in police lingua, this is called the clear-up rate, and 63% represents the highest clear-up rate for murder in 15 years. If I were a CID sleuth, I would stand up proudly at this time and be counted. Blenheim, stand up and be counted. At the same time, compared to 2015, there has been a 16%, as Commissioner has said, reduction in the serious crime rate. These offenses, as compared in 2016, these offenses include robbery under arms, where firearms had been used, robbery with violence, rape, and larceny from the person. Our government also notes with satisfaction that last year the Major Crimes Unit busted 37 cases, which include 10 cold cases, 11 murders, and 11 robberies in which firearm had been used. In Guyana, though we have a strict law enforcement reputation that we are seeking to rebuild, we have resorted to what might appear to be a human approach to ensure public safety. We experimented with a gun amnesty, and we also witnessed pardon of prisoners. We implemented a curfew to allow unfettered drinking in public places until 2 a.m. or until the Minister of Public Security said, "Fed stops." I commend our Minister of Public Security for these innovations, but also other measures that were intended to reduce the incidence of lawlessness and criminal activities. But it would appear that we could never guarantee a no-crime environment. Last year, even in the most unsuccessful or unsuspecting place, the Central Prison, crimes were being hatched and hardened criminals were ready to confront law enforcement. The consequences in one episode were fatal. I recall that incident to show that the scope of work by the discipline forces, from patrol duties to prison deployment, is very wide and full of challenges. However, you met those challenges. You responded not only physically, but you employed intelligence to break through serious crime cases. There were 40 such breakthroughs, including 10 murders and 15 firearm-related robberies. Information provided to me also resulted in 78 arrests of persons wanted for serious crimes. Hence, I fully endorse the theme of your conference that emphasizes intelligence-led policing. Another highlight of how our security forces met the challenges is in regards to piracy. In 2016, I was told there was only one reported case, and the incidence of piracy dropped from 22 in 2012 to only 2 in 2015. No one can take credit away from you for what you did collectively, but you were not alone. Under the leadership of President David Granger, your Commander-in-Chief, the National Security Committee and the Defense Board have been reactivated and have been meeting routinely. As a result, there have been interagency cooperation, maritime aerial surveillance, border patrols, and purposeful deployment of our limited resources, material and personnel. All ranks in the joint services went on foot. Bicycles, motorcycles, horsebacks, ATVs, jeeps, helicopters, and an aircraft. We don't have many of those, but aircraft, the air wing of our defense system, wherever the situation required. Ranks have been deployed and are permanently stationed on board the MV Tamake, a floating police station in the Waini River, which I visited last year. The combined and determined efforts of our police ranks have produced results. One only has to reflect 2 years back when there was an almost inexplicable upsurge in kick-down-the-door banditry. Since then, intense operations by the joint services have seen a dramatic reduction of the incidence of such outrageous attack.